Welcome to our podcast and videocast with Eagle Athletic Director Bill Chaves. It's brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union, serving their members' financial needs since 1951. Close but no cigar on Saturday.
Tough one. Obviously, kind of a little bit of memories from 2011. Obviously we played obviously well enough to be right there, knocking on the door at the end. And, as we discussed before, we just went on the videocast, is that, turnovers in a game like that, it seems like that's probably the stat line more than anything, unless you're going to go ahead and maybe make something happen on special teams or something to that effect. It's hard to overcome losing the turnover battle.
I think it's just amazing that an FCS program can stay with an FBS program with the 22 additional scholarships, with all the advantages they have. I'm probably not far off in saying their head football coach's salary is more than Eastern's football budget, and that their football budget may be more than Eastern's entire athletic budget. So
yes.
it's amazing to me that the game is as close as it is. That speaks volume to the coaching staff and the people they're recruiting.
Absolutely, no doubt, Larry. And yes, I think to both those questions that you pose. It goes back to saying, it is 11 on 11. It's not as if it's 22 on 11. So we do play by the same rules when the game is actually played. But certainly the resources surrounding the programs and the athletic departments, I don't even think night and day is the right analogy. I mean, it's light years, and so but not when you have good people, and we have great people, and the institution and where we reside, and a lot of other factors go into it, and it just goes to show that resources isn't everything. I mean, you have to have the right people with those resources as well, and I can tell you this right now, we have the right people.
You also were able to spend a couple of days over there. You were able to connect with a lot of alumni, and it was very valuable institutionally for all levels, whether it's athletics or academics.
Absolutely. I mean, depending on what lens you want to look on, a lot of times I think the play, or at least the logical play from a media standpoint, is always kind of what maybe you get paid for the game. And, I think it just goes far deeper than that, quite frankly. When we have, probably 70% of our student athletes on the football team are from the state of Washington, and then probably 50% from the west side. That's just an opportunity that's a once in a lifetime, and so they'll remember that for the rest of their lives, literally, the rest of their lives. So that's important. But you're right, from an institutional standpoint, we were able to put on a golf tournament. Our external staff did a great job with that on Friday, and just happened to be that our soccer team was playing at Seattle U that night. Our new president, Dr. Cullinan, was able to go with David Burai, our governmental relations director, and meet with a lot of legislators on Thursday and Friday. And then obviously she was able to be at the game on Saturday as well. And then, of course, we had an alumni tailgate prior to the game. And, we had a box, athletics had a box full of, just great folks there, talking about the future really of Eastern athletics and where we need to go and hopefully where we can go. And, all that's exciting. And then, of course, the game on the field was tremendous, and hats off to our student athletes and to our coaches. They coached and played their hearts out, and you couldn't make up a worse script to start a game. Actually, we executed a script that if you wrote it that way, we did it right to a T, and got down 3 touchdowns, but never blinked, just kept on going. And it was just, I couldn't be any more proud of what transpired. And then, Vernon had a game really, for the ages. I think, generally speaking, from what I'm gathering, is one of the best, if not the best, performance by an opposing quarterback in Husky Stadium history ever.
They've had one or two fair players that have come through there and that have played quarterback there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so, just special. And, he's Craig Haley with the FCS Awards, and, he does such a great job with the Sports Network. And, he's pretty much said, Vernon's off to a start where it's just really hard to imagine really where he's at. And, obviously there's some great players in our subdivision, and And they'll have great years as well. But he's in a territory right now that's probably historically you'd have to think Steve McNair, or even when you think the smaller schools of Gordy Lockbaum or those guys that kind of came before the Holy Cross, or Joe Dudek from Plymouth State, when they kind of got that Heisman hype, if you will. But I don't even say it's hype, because at the end of the day, I'm not so sure that there's not anyone in the country that had a better day at playing quarterback. It didn't matter what school you were at.
So if you want to see Vernon Adams, you want to see the rest of this Eagle team, you can do so. And the best way to do it is to buy a Big Sky Conference Pack. If you don't have season tickets already, get your Big Sky Conference Pack, which will give you tickets to each of the last 4 home games for Eastern. The ticket prices start at $85, even if you don't go to all 4. I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to get rid of 1 or 2 of them if that's what you want, but you also guarantee that seat for the rest of the game. You're not having to try to wait till single game tickets go on sale and then hoping that you're in time to get a ticket. Or maybe you're thinking, maybe I'll go to the game on November 1st, but maybe I won't, and and then you get ready to buy a ticket and they're all gone. And they've been all gone in each of the first 2 home games.
Yeah, and that's just where we've kind of grown to, Larry, is that people are just surprised that that's just where we're at. And so, it was, again, the schedule worked out great where we could put this pack together, and we hope that people take advantage of it. We really, really do. And let me address one other thing, too, is, I've gotten a couple questions of, why are game times so different week to week? Well, and again, it's just the evolution of where we are in life. Television. I mean, they kind of dictate what windows they can get your game into, and so that's why if you look at our next 4 games, all of them are about a half hour apart from each other, and you'd sit there and say, what is Chaves thinking? He doesn't understand that. Just go with a 2 o'clock kick or a 3 o'clock kick. Well, we're getting dictated to by when those windows for television are available.
Yeah, that television seems to rule all these days. I'm a radio guy, so I have a hard time with that. But.
Well, it's great for the program to get the exposure that they're getting, and so at the end of the day, we just kind of go with it. And in our fan base, it's been great. I mean, they'll adapt to anything. But if you were to say to me, what makes the most sense if I had my way, probably a 3 or 4 o'clock start always seemed like the right time for us. But we're going to be anywhere from 12:05 to I think 2:05 kick, in a couple in between as well.
All right, no football this week, no soccer this week. Many of the other winter sport or fall sports have not started yet. You do have volleyball in action in Moscow, but that's it this week.
Yeah, kind of one of those strange weeks where we've gone 100 miles an hour ever since we moved the Sam Houston game, to August 23rd. So, that would be sitting here. We would be talking about that for this week coming up. But now we've got the bye week, and so kind of gives us a little bit of time to kind of catch our breath, debrief about what's transpired over the first 3 weeks, and really kind of plan and move forward to where we need to look, because at the end of the day, our same staff that staffs football and volleyball and soccer, they're the ones looking ahead to basketballs too. And so now we've got to think in those terms, season tickets for basketball and all the paraphernalia and all the things that go along with that as well.
And we mentioned about the football Big Sky Conference Pack. Season tickets for volleyball are also available. Their first match at home will be a week from Tuesday, the 16th of September, against Seattle. And then basketball, men's and women's season tickets will be on sale, and basketball season will be here before we know it.
Oh no, I know it's crazy, but that's just what we signed up for, and that's what happens, and that's why we love it. Honestly, I mean, you get to go from sport to sport, and we get to be around so many fantastic student athletes, and it's just kind of a neat deal. But the way we've started right now, kudos to volleyball. They've just been kind of the cardiac kids a little bit. Yep. I mean, they've won some 5-setters. The latest being the one at High Point to end that Carolina trip, and to go down there and be 4-2, pretty darn impressive.
Bill, anything else you want to touch on today?
No, not at all. We appreciate everything that you're doing, Larry, and I think these videocasts are working out pretty well as well, so hopefully people are enjoying them, and we thank Cheney Federal Credit Union.
Yes, indeed. That's our podcast and videocast for this week with Athletic Director Bill Chaves, brought to you by Cheney Federal Credit Union.